Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to part 5 of Unpopular Ramadan video series. My name is Yasmin Anal and I'm the founder of Legacy Leadership Institute. And in today's episode, I want to share with you the power of Ramadan in terms of transformation. Now, I know that you already know this, but remember, a reminder benefits the believer. So I'm first reminding myself and then all of you that Ramadan has the power to transform your life if you let it. When I was a freshman at Ohio University, I remember having the most memorable Ramadan of my life. Now, if you don't know me or you don't know my story, when I was in college, my first year, I actually wasn't a practicing Muslim. I started practicing Islam during that year, actually during that Ramadan. I somehow joined the MSA, the Muslim Student Society of my university, and I decided that I was going to go for the iftar and for Taraweeh and just really experience Ramadan from a whole new perspective. Growing up in just a regular Muslim family, not a practicing one, I didn't really appreciate what Islam offered me. I had the faith, but I wasn't practicing. So that year, I decided to have brand new eyes in terms of looking into Islam. Now, going into the masjid of my university, I was a little bit skeptical. I was nervous because I wasn't sure how people were going to receive me. I wasn't sure if they were going to be welcoming to someone who didn't dress the way they did and who wasn't necessarily from their cultural background. But I still went because I wanted to be part of the community. I wanted to practice. So it was amazing to me because the people, the sisters, were so welcoming. I remember going to my first iftar and everybody was so nice. They wanted to know my name. They wanted to know where I was from and what I was studying. And subhanAllah, I felt welcome. I felt at home. And to me, that was so important because maybe if they didn't welcome me like that, maybe I would have never gone back. But it made me go back. Alhamdulillah, I went back the next day and the next day and the next day for the rest of the month. I remember sitting there in the masjid and breaking fast with these amazing sisters and then attending Taraweeh prayers, in between watching the sisters who were reading the Quran cover to cover. And I remember sitting one day looking at this one sister who was reading it, and I had this urge, this desire to want to read Arabic. I looked at her. I was reading my own little transliteration of the Quran because I couldn't read Arabic at the time. And I looked at her in a way like, I wish I could be reading it just like her, And I started crying. And the sister looked at me puzzled, like, what happened? Why are you crying? And I told her, I said, you're very blessed, mashallah. Like, you're so blessed that you can read Arabic and you don't have to depend on the transliteration of the Quran. And subhanAllah, out of her generosity, she told me, she said, I'll be more than happy to teach you. I'd be so happy. And I was just so amazed. I said, yes, definitely, I'll take you up on that offer. And, subhanAllah, it opened a whole new door for me. During that Ramadan, I also started practicing, in terms of like making sure that I was praying my 5 daily prayers on time. And I also started wearing the hijab. Now, again, if you knew me before that time, before that year, you would have said, this girl will never wear hijab. Just probably the last person to wear it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to guide us, right? He has the power to change our hearts. He really has that control over our hearts. So I always want to look at it from that perspective when I go to the masjid and I see a sister coming in, perhaps maybe not a very practicing sister. And I really try my best not to be judgmental. So I'm reminding you of that. I'm reminding you that we are all at different levels of Islam. When you go to your community, when you go to your iftar or your Taraweeh prayers and you see a new person, open up your arms for that person. Open up your heart for that person. You have no idea what that person desires in her heart. I wanted so badly to get close to Allah. Maybe from the outset, it didn't look like I wanted to because I wasn't dressed the way a Muslim woman dresses at the time. And maybe I wasn't doing my duties in terms of my worship. But in my heart, I really wanted to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So please, let's get rid of this self-righteousness, that sometimes plagues our societies. We have to get rid of this. And we have to force ourselves to look at people for what they are worth. They're human beings just like us, and we have to welcome them and open up our hearts and minds to them so that they can see the beauty of Islam. Muhammad ﷺ never turned away anybody from the masjid. And really, be the reason for another person to come into Islam, to become a practicing Muslim. Don't be the reason for someone to turn away from it. So this is a reminder to myself first, and then to all of you. Let's remember the transformational power of Ramadan, and let's help one another to transform our lives this Ramadan. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please share it with your friends. And until tomorrow, take good care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.